Well.
Giddy Giddy
Yeah.
and a guy called Maji Maji. They were individuals competing against each other. You and you, if you want, you have to work as a group. And that was the birth of Kenyan hip-hop. So nilikuwa natengeneza as many artists as possible. You get to a point in life where your gift and your talent will lift you into rooms with kings. MTV Base asking us, me and Dij, in London, what do you want us to do for you? Tell us. When Jay, my daughter, was 3 months old, her mom passed. Insult to injury, the nanny who used to take care of her granddad dies. I found myself now with a 3-month-old child who's never even tasted water. I'm breaking. I am losing my mind. When the phoenix is buried, it must burn into ashes. The phoenix rises again. What do? Let me find the next phase of my life. I really know how to make music. I really know how to make film. And I can do animation too. I'm gonna become a businessman. One bag equals very many families. So for me, it's not just tended to make my bag. I look at it and I say, how many jobs can we create by one action? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Bro, when it shines. Luxury must be made in Africa. Luxury must be sold out of Africa. I call that the black market. Nobody wants to see it.
Classmates, mko fiti? Welcome to another episode, and I am just excited today. I think I'm just realizing my childhood dreams and heroes. I'm getting to sit with them, and today I'm seated next to one of those heroes, and mtaona kwa nini. For those who've been listening to me long enough, they know that I'm a hip-hop head, proper hip-hop head, and the gentleman that we're going to have a conversation with, I'd say, is the godfather of hip-hop in this country, because he produced some of the most legendary artists that we've known in this country. Yeah, we're still filming at Longonot Place. Come check them out. Book your staycation with them. Please, fiti sana, mta fiti sana. And this is Becoming CEO. Naskio Kunze, they're saying this is a concert for businessmen and entrepreneurs. So I'm going to own that. Becoming CEO, the concert for businessmen and entrepreneurs. Awesome. I'll start again with a story. The year is 2002. I'm in high school. I'm in Form 2. And one of the biggest concerts is going down at Uhuru Park. I think around that time, it was just before elections. And so I go in for the concert. The sound was amazing. I don't think nishaiona watu wengi even in a stadium somewhere. And a certain track, Giddy Giddy Maji Maji were performing. So walikuwa na some hit tracks, and they performed really well. And then kuna track moja. It was not planned because they actually started performing and they were kicked out of stage. But I'll never forget that particular track. And when the bass, like when the beat dropped, sikuwa nimesikia hiyo ngoma up to then. Then later on now, nikifanya research, I heard that it had been banned because it was election season. But ilikuwa inaanza tu well. Yes, mtaendelea. Ladies and gentlemen, on set today is none other than Ted Josiah. Niaje boss.
Fiti sana Buda, niko best.
Buda, hiyo track, sijui vile naweza explain. I don't know. I had not heard that song up to then. It dropped. Giddy Giddy Maji Maji tried performing. They were kicked off stage. Yeah, it was very controversial. Yeah. And now I loved the song more. And to date, I think to date, if you go watch Kenyan games, especially rugby games, they still play today. Wow. It's an anthem.
That's beautiful.
And Bogable was big. And bro, I grew up on your music, man.
I'm glad to hear, although I feel so old, man, when you say that.
You see,
I was just living my life as a boy, living a dream. Literally, that's all I was trying to do. And when people say it can't be done, my policy is always, let me figure out how. Because I'm sure it can be done.
You literally I was born and brought up in Dandora, so for
Yeah.
me, hip hop because of Kalamashaka and Uko Flani,
was everything.
and you produced you basically gave birth to hip hop, what we know as hip hop in this
Yeah,
country,
yeah.
and no, ulikuwa tu trisex, you were just living your dream.
Unajua kuna time nilijiuliza, I was coming from the studio na nilikuwa nishatengeneza ngoma za kina Hardstone. Kwa nimetengeneza album ya Shades of Black,
Hata nilikuwa nimesahau Hardstone. My God, yes.
akina Uhiki, akina Serengeti Groove.
Right.
And I kept on asking myself, there's something that we're not getting as a sound and as a country. Hizo time palikuwa na KBC, General Service. General Service was for English.
Yeah.
Swahili Service was for Swahili speakers. But I was like, Nairobi hakunanga mtu ongeanga Kizungu sanifu au Kiswahili sanifu. Si uzi mix.
Yeah, true.
Kuna Kijaka, Kiswahili, kila kitu iko hapo ndani inaitwa Sheng.
Yeah.
Na nikiangalia ma3 sababu nilikuwa naishi South B hiyo time. Naangalia magraffiti za ma3 naona vile wana represent mali wametoka Nairobi. It's a colorful place.
Yeah.
Nikajiuliza mbona sound haiko hivyo.
Right.
So I was walking down a road where it's funny that Nani actually moved there. Nameless moved to that road. I was walking just outside the Highway High School. I remember, and I kept on saying, people need to understand. People need to understand. People need to understand. And then all of a sudden, my thoughts moved to Sheng. Inafaa watu wa tafsiri na waelewe mali tumetoka.
Tafsiri hii
Ikanigonga, nikakimbia kwa hao, nikaandika hiyo line chini. Kesho yake nikaingia studio kama nimemake hip hop, nikaambia kina Keishaka, sikia hook ni tafsiri hii, maisha kule dini mazi. Wakasema hiyo umetoa wapi? Kasema just trust me. Sasa nataka muongee kuhusu mali mmetoka. Let's not sugarcoat this anymore. Tulikuwa tunakopia kina Lost Boys, akina Nazi hizo time, nikamwambia wacha kukopi. Wachana na kizungu, ingia Sheng. Wasipoelewa hiyo ni shida yao. Kesi baadaye. Tufanye ile kitu sisi tunajua exact. And that was the birth of Kenyan hip hop.
kabisa.
After hiyo tukatoa single za Mungu wangu niokoe. Tukatoa kuna ngoma mob tulitoa. Na watu wakaanza kufuata hizo blueprint za keep it as authentic as possible. We're young, we like hip hop, we like R&B, we like raga, but we don't speak in those languages. So let's take our own language and put into those, fuse into those. So we had hip hop fusion, R&B fusion, raga fusion, unajua? Na hiyo ndio ilipatia the rise to Kenyan music, because now all of a sudden vijana wakaanza kusema si Lingala, si Benga, si lakini ni yetu.
Yes.
Wakai-embrace. And I think that was what I was meant to do all along, but it had been a journey of, naongea kuhusu hiyo single tulitoa 1998. I had been in the industry from 1990, struggling. Nobody knew.
What?
Nobody knew. So 8 good years. Unafanya tu matrizek, unajaribu nini. 1997, 98 ndio watu wakaanza kunitambua.
Okay. What's to directly to that journey? Because your entire life has been all about artistry, whether it's music, to what you're doing right now with Joka Jok. So let me understand from context right from when you were a child. Like, wewe na art mlipatana aje? How did you grow up? Uligrowia wapi? How was it like growing up? And how did you and artistry meet?
So I was born in Mombasa to a girl who should not have been having sex. My mom was still in high school, all right? So she shouldn't have been doing the mambo flani. But anyway, I make fun of it because she was just about to finish high school. My dad aliona udema akamkatia akamuingiza box, boom, Mombasa kidogo kidogo. Josiah kazaliwa.
Right.
Makosa kubwa kwa dunia. Big mistake.
Big mistake.
Now, my life has been about a journey. It's never been static.
Right.
Born in Mombasa, my dad ended up moving to the US to become to go and study. He's a chiropractor, and I moved then to live with my grandma in Nyahururu. Mi ni Mjaka lakini nimegrow Nyahu. Unaelewa? Place inaitwa Jororok. So nagrow Jororok. By the time I got to 4 years old, nikapatiwa passport. Ile kitu clear mi nishaiona ni maji. Niko kwa ndege naulizwa kama nataka hii kitu ya brown. Kitu ya brown mi najua ni strungi ama kitu clear maji. Mi nikasema cha nikunywe maji. Kumbe ni 7 Up Sprite. Nashindwa hii maji ni tamu. Niko ndege nikiwa kijana 4 years old, nikaenda. I grew up in Chicago, Lombard, Illinois. And then in my teens we came back. My dad had finished, and being a chiropractor, he couldn't find a job, so he had to become a biology teacher in Kajiado. So tukahamia Kajiado. Kajiado 1982 kuu ikatupata hapo. Buda akaona wacha nijaribu kung'ang'ana niingie, go back to Nairobi. He came back to Nairobi. He left me in Kajiado Primary Boys Boarding School. So I was in a boarding school. I've come from the States. I've come from Nyahururu. I've come from, so I feel like I don't fit anywhere, but I'm collecting all these experiences. By the time I was getting to Form 1, my dad had settled. Form 2, I ended up in Eastleigh High School. So most people think, this guy must be a guy from Patch or, one of those better schools. Buda mini chaliwa Eastleigh. Na tuko our best. Okay.
Mlikuwa mnatunyonga tamu sana.
Daily. Lazima. Lakini, my experiences in Eastleigh, the reason I ended up in Eastleigh was my dad realized this guy, he's always in his room drawing, listening to music, So the only thing that he might be very gifted at, sababu ndiko Dwanzi shule, sikuwa chali mnoma, is art. And when I went to Eastleigh, I found the art room, and the art room became my escape. I would draw all the time. By Form 3, nilikuwa nishashinda award, nimechapa mpaka watu wa uni, tulikuwa hapa City Hall, tumefanya exhibition, competition, mpaka watu wa university ni mwacharaza na mapainting zangu. So I realized, actually, I have a purpose in life. There's something I can do in life. I ended up finishing ECH High School, and I wanted to do graphic design. So I went to Kenya Poly, did a bit of graphics, got employed as a graphic designer, got bored of that, entered the music industry through church. So I was a gospel musician performing with Kina Peter Dera and the late Salio Yugi. Reverend Pete now became my like literally my brother. We grew up with him, learning music and understanding music and trying to figure some stuff out. Mi nikawacha church nikaingia streets. Ndio nikaanza kuproduce hizi mangoma. Akina Hardstone, akina Kaishaka, akina nini. Na ni Jimmy Gadhu alini introduce kwa the first studio. Because I used to just make beats at home. And at the time, I was one of the few guys who had a computer. Sasa mtu aliniona akaniambia, naona unaweza make beats, basi wewe shika keyboard. Ni akanitrain kidogo, akaniambia, this is how you make it. So every day I would just be in my room over and over trying to make beats. Jimmy one day came to my house and said, unaweza funga hizi vitu zako tuende kuna studio fulani wanataka ngoma. Nikasema sawa, ina noma. Kwenda nikapatana na the late Emil Juma, and he says, we need to do a commercial for Salama condoms. Can you make a beat? I say, well, say less. Tell me what kind of beat you want. And he says, and I sit down, I open my comp, I make the beat. I'm sequencing everything, and he's looking at me and asking me, where the hell did you learn how to do that? He had come from MIT, New York Institute of Technology, as a sound engineer. So he's wondering, how is this kid in Africa with no YouTube, no tutorials, no nothing,
doing all this.
He said, you need to go to the States. You'll be big if you can do this now. I said, no, I'm happy doing this here. I feel like my calling is right here. And that's how I got my first job. Nikachapwa 3,500 sitaisahau kumake ngoma, lakini ilikuwa ni 30 minutes.
Disa bro. Hiyo time unaanza mtu.
Ilikuwa domob. Kawaida nilikuwa nagongwa so 50 bob sababu ni kazi ya kanisa. Ma gospel musicians unajuana do. So that's my creative journey. It then later on moved into television with Akina Mongolo doing VP and doing a whole host of other things. I've set up TV stations in Nigeria. I've trained people on film and cinema. I've done documentaries in wayward places like Bayelsa all the way hata nikisema watu hawezi elewa.
Huko ni wapi?
South. Ushaisikianga Emancipation for the Niger Delta, MEND.
Yeah.
I was working in the middle of MEND, and MEND afadhali Boko Haram mara 10. MEND si watu wa kucheza nao. I was doing documentaries smack in the middle of that place with tons of security and stuff. 2015, I just said to myself, you know what? Inafaa utulie. Hii maisha yako ya kuzunguka kila mahali, tulia Buddha. And that's how I ended up chilling and making bags and now doing other stuff.
Yo, wow. It's interesting how when you learn patterns when you're a kid, you replicate when you're older.
Yeah.
Because you grew up moving around.
Yes.
So hata we kusettle to place moja ilikuwa hard.
Ilikuwa ni hard sana.
Yeah.
And kids do, you know, how we raise our children is very important.
Yeah.
I'm trying to raise a child who's grounded because I was not grounded, and I don't feel like, okay, I'm blessed to have traveled the world and seen the world and done all the things I've done. But I feel like the fact that I've not been grounded has affected a lot of my output as a human being. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to travel. Yeah, maybe I was supposed to experience all of these things so that at certain points in my life, I can understand human beings based on, you know, when you've traveled a lot, you can read the room very quickly.
Yeah.
When you've not traveled a lot, you don't know how to read the room. So mzungu akiingia hapo kwa room and he's from the States, you don't know really how to communicate with him on his level. I've been blessed to be able to read a room in seconds because of the travel. Yeah. But I don't want my child to have to travel that much, because then I think attachment issues maybe develop, because you don't have people who you can say nimegrow na huu kutoka tuwe primo mpaka sahi. Mi wala watu ni grow nao primo wako Chicago, wengine wako Kajiado, wengine
kila mahali. Nyaururu. Yo.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, you've mentioned so many things. I'm trying to figure out where to start pulling the thread from.
Yeah.
Abby, we'll come back to your relationship with your daughter, because I model a lot from you. You're very vocal about it. You've been very open about it, and because I also have a daughter.
Yeah.
So let's go to the music, because that was exciting. Man, mlipatana wapi na Kalamashaka? And
Keishaka tulipatana F2 nakumbuka 95, 96 December. F2 si ile F2 watu wanajua pale nini. Ile ilikuanga kama umbrella pale Koinange Street. F2 original karibu na Kenya Cinema.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Palikuanga na Sunday afternoon palikuwa na jam session. Watu hiyo walikuwa wanakubaliwa kukama hapo. So even if you're in high school, you didn't need an ID. Alcohol was not sold. There was a talent search. So DJ Darkchild, who people don't give him the props. I don't even think we get photographs of him. But Darkchild was responsible for the emergence of Kenyan music, because he was doing talent searches there every Sunday. Akaniambia, Buddha, sasa mi nafanya finals. Nataka uje. Najua utokangi studio lakini njoo. Kapatana na Kalamashaka, nikapatana na Gidi. and a guy called Maji. They were individuals competing against each other.
Right.
Nikapatana na Darling P, nikapatana na Zaka na Ka, na watu wengi. So I looked at the whole entire talent search and I was like, Dark Child is telling me, just take one and produce them. I said, no, I'll take all of them. Let me just take all of them. They're all talented.
Right.
Hakuna haja ku nyonga hawa. Now, let's just try and build everyone.
Right.
You know, everybody's a winner. All of these guys are gifted. Nikambia Gidi Maji. You and you, if you want, you have to work as a group. Okay? And that's how I met the guys and started working on them. Right. So I had Kenyan the first chapter, Kenyan the second chapter. On the first chapter, the CD, it was a compilation CD.
Right.
So I would put artists on various artists on the album. Right. So the first chapter had Nikki, Sheila Mwanyiga. Najua watu wanamjua kama Sheila Mwanyiga, muita tu Nikki bado. It had Jimmy Gado. It had Peter Dera. It had Kalamashaka, Tafsiri. That's what I did for the first chapter. And then the second chapter had Akina, now Kalamashaka's younger brothers, Uko Flani, Akina Zakana Ka. It had Gidi again. It had Darling P, Mbuf Mbaf Yo. It had a lot of those younger guys. So I did that because I knew that radio needed a one-stop shop. It needed as much urban Kenyan music on one platform that they could just play. Because they were saying, okay, mmefungua mlango lakini sasa hamna content ya kutosha. So niko natengeneza as many artists as possible but making sure that they're diverse. So ukisikiza Darling P, it doesn't sound like Akina Gidi.
Kabisa.
Ukisikiza Susanna Owio, she doesn't sound like Kalamashaka.
You were producing all these different genres.
Yes.
Bro. Okay.
Traveling helps because you get to understand different genres, different cultures, different things, and you can then say, okay, let me work on a piece of music that's country, or let me work on a piece of music that's hip hop, you know. So I ended up in the initial stages. I ended up doing a lot of urban fusion music. So palikuwa na hip hop, R&B, Swahili, mixed with Sheng, mixed with a bit of Kijaka hapa na pale. Unbogable was not Gidi Maji's first single. It was actually like their 14th song. People don't know that. They had already done a whole album, and the album had done well. Ismaro, exactly. Ismaro means it's ours. Yes. Which still is the theme in my life till this day. Africa needs to embrace Africanness and Africanism in its totality. And using music and using culture and using film and using food to tell our stories and to embrace ourselves, for me is, bro, I'll live and die for that. The same way other people will live and die for their cultures. But dovetailing back into the music, I got to a point, I remember back in 2001 that, okay, usha make hizi vitu zote. What's really African about them? What's really African about your sound? Unajua kumimic hip hop. Unaweza make beat ya hip hop kushinda mabeat maker wa US. Sawa. In fact, unaweza uzia hizo mangoma. Unaweza make R&B kuwashinda. What is there that is yours? 100% authentically African sound. And hii ni PG.
No. Jibambe bro. Jibambe.
So nimekaa studio, niko peke yangu Sunday. Kuna CD nilikuwa nimepatiwa na kuna single nilikuwa ninajaribu kuwakia. Susanna Owio's first single Kisumu 100. 6 months. Charlie amekuja ametengeneza record Oru 2. She sang her parts. The guitar parts are nice. I've put a hip hop beat on it. It's just not sitting. 6 months. It's just not sitting. And somebody had brought me a CD. He told me, when you have time, listen to it. It was a guy called Richard Bonner. Richard Bonner is a beautiful jazz and Afrofusion genius. So nilienda kuona herbalist nikarudi. Makosa kubwa. Mi si mtu wa kuona herbalist. Sana nasikia kila kitu in 7.1 stereo. Kila kitu ni clear.
Yeah.
Ikaeka hiyo CD. I remember opening my eyes and asking myself, how dare you call yourself a musician? You know nothing. Because what I experienced on Richard Bonner's album, I had never experienced before. He had violins, cellos, bass guitars, background vocals, all these amazing sounds. And they were making an African piece of music that was so beautifully orchestrated. Nilizima hiyo CD, nilikuwa na kadram kana toshana hivi kadogo. Nikaingia kwa studio, nikaanza kujirecord nikicheza drums. And what you hear on Susanna Wheel's Kisumu 100 was my experience of being introduced into the Afrofusion arena. And after that, I worked with guys like Wayo, who are from not Dandora, but from Mathare.
Yeah.
Wayo went on tour, doing just absolutely nothing but Afrofusion. I worked with Unasi, who were partly Dandora, partly, all over the place. And they went on tour from, I think, 2003 till about 2005. They were just in different countries on tour. And the Susanna Wheel represented Kenya in so many ways. Abim Dunia, I worked with him. Achieng Abura, the late. And it opened up a whole new door for me in terms of musical expression and Africanism, and asking myself, what is really African? What is African? Because hata tukicommunicate na Kizungu ndio ni poa, lakini ingekuwa best kama tunaweza bonga na lugha yetu.
True.
Through and through. Because tukiongea na lugha yetu, I speak to your heart.
That is true.
Tukiongea na Kizungu, I speak to your mind. Na saa zingine kuna disconnect.
Kwanza siku hizi Nairobi wanasema roho tuiache tuipump damu.
Bas, hiyo ndio best. Circulation. Iachie tu stima kidogo na circulation.
Bro, you're speaking, you've basically just summarized my entire childhood. And ladies and gentlemen, you've just been taken through, I think, 30 years of Kenyan music. You've just taken us through history. Wow. By the way, umesema Unasi, I'm like, what? I can't remember the last time I heard about them, and wow. I think you've done so. I think we need a whole episode on just music.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack there, and so much you're able to build. What are some of your most memorable moments from your musical career? Like moments that stand out,
1997.
Nabuda.
Chakadimas and Pliers.
Unataja hizi miaka manze, the Gen Z's in the room.
Hawako wamezaliwa. Yeah. Chakadimas and Pliers walikuwa wamekaa Kenya. Those are like, I was looking up to them.
Yeah.
And they asked us to cut and race for them, Hardstone. So we go with the Hardstone. Now, Chakadimas and Pliers came with another engineer. Wow. He was called Freckles. I'd never heard anybody do live sound like that in my life. So I go up to Freckles and I'm like, hey, Freckles, can you come to the studio? Nionyeshe mbili tatu, najua msanii wangu anafanya raga kama akina lakini. So Freckles comes to the studio, and for me that was iconic.
Yeah.
That was iconic. And then 1998, Lauryn Hill from Fugees. Hizo siku hapakwa na simu, palikuwa na kitu inaitwa pager. So nilikuwa na kapager. Pager inatuma text message. Character 32 peke yake. 32 characters.
Yes.
Ikipita 32 utaji. Lauryn Hill is in town. I was like, what? So I pick up the phone, I call my friend, and he says, yeah, let's go see her. And we go see her, and she's so humble. Alafu ni mdogo. Hiyo time anajifundisha kucheza gitaa. Amekuja na budake. She was coming to do some NGO work, and she's just learning how to play guitar. So I tell her, oh, okay, so we're launching Heartstone's album on Saturday. Can you come? And she said, I'll let you know if we can make it. Saturday usiku tuko katikati ya concert. Pager, blah, blah. Lauryn Hill is on our way. Watching Lauryn Hill on stage in Kenya, and I'm the one who's asked her to come, and surreal.
That's the godmother. That's the queen.
Now the funny thing is, I think I get so. I'm like, I like to take human beings as human beings and not as celebrities.
Yeah.
So I've met Locked Up Akon. I've sat with him like this in Nigeria. And he asked me, you don't want a photo with me? And I'm like, no, cool. I don't want to invade your space.
Yeah.
I've met the mayor of London through music. I've met so many people just through music. And you get to a point in life where the all for me is your gift and your talent will lift you into rooms with kings. You understand?
Yeah.
But I'm not like, oh, check me out, niko nao wafalme nini. So I don't even have photographs of those things.
Yeah.
It's just let me believe and let me enjoy that moment and let it be. So this is actually one of the first times that I'm talking about memorable moments.
Yeah.
Memorable moment is MTV base asking us, me and Dij, in London. We had flown to London and asking us, what do you want us to do for you? Tell us. We're going to open the whole carpet for you. What do you want? You want a collaboration with who? You want to promo who? You want to do what? So many things like that have happened in my life that hata ukiambia wasee watu wanaona hii ni movie uchaliana act. Si movie.
Stories of job.
Si movie. And they're very many. So like, wacha nisikubo nazo ni gang.
Oh, wow. As in, yeah, I think hata nimesahau tunapiga story gani hapa hivi. I'm so excited, like you're blowing my mind away. Oh my goodness. So 2015.
Yeah.
You say goodbye to music and decide to get into Joka Jok. Or was that? No, you said 2015 is when you came back. And
I came back from Bielsa.
All right.
And I fell in love.
Nice.
Roho iliacha kusukuma damu.
Manzi.
Ingeendelea tu kusukuma damu, brain ingethink. Unaona? Anyway, I fell in love with a very, very, very extremely wonderful human being called Regina Qatar, and we decided to settle down. At the time, I was ready to have a baby. She was ready to have a baby. We wanted to have a baby, and we had a baby. But we had also been building the brand Swar and B. Swar and B was my very stupid entry into trying to fuse music with fashion. So I thought I'll do a bit of music, but I'll capitalize on the fashion as well. And it wasn't working, and because even people couldn't even pronounce the name. But then Regina ended up expectant, and the pregnancy was a bit complex, so she had to take bed rest. So we took everything. We took a break from stuff, and I went back to training people on media and film and stuff, and taking up some odd jobs until she gave birth. And my assumption, unajua ukishapata mtoi sasa umetulia, uko na demu wako nini, unafikiria safari sasa ni nywe kaende. It didn't quite pan out as I had planned it. God has different plans from human beings. When Jay, my daughter, was 3 months old, just before her 3rd month, actually, her mom passed very abruptly, from a very stupid thing, just lack of vitamin K, which enables the blood to clot. She had a huge deficit, so she suffered internal bleeding. Nobody knew when she died. So she's complaining of headaches, but it's because there's too much blood circulating and not clotting properly, and we didn't know. So by the time I took her to hospital, 3 hours later she was out, gone. So I found myself now with a 3-month-old child who's never even tasted water, who's used to breast milk. Insult to injury, the nanny who used to take care of her granddad dies, so the nanny bounces. Now Regina's mom is in mourning, so I can't call her to help. My mom is confused and lost and just wondering, okay, what's going to happen here? So I find myself, me and a 3-month-old, we on our own. And that's how my journey into raising Jay started. I'm mourning the loss of my wife. I'm learning how to be a mom, because this child needs a mom urgently. She doesn't need a dad now. She needs a mother.
Yeah.
And I say that intentionally because she needs somebody to change her diapers, to wash her, to clean her, to nurture her, to give her the right food, to make sure she's at clinic. She doesn't need a protector and a provider, which is the father's job. She needs somebody to step in the shoes of the mother, 100%. And God was merciful. I managed to do it. With the help of a few friends, I managed to do it, raise her, and she didn't feel the void of a mom not being there. But by 2018, I was like, okay, now what do I do? Because now I need to make a living. I can't be living in the house and hoping that money is just going to appear. The savings are finished and everything. Auctioneers are knocking at the door. True story. And I was like, let me figure it out. So I called a friend of mine, and he said, well, you can come back to Nigeria, you can do ABCD, but before that, let me give you some jobs that you can do. So Milfanya graphics at TV stations.
Right.
So I could work remotely. So I did some graphics for this guy. He sent me, I remember, $10,000. Boom. And I'm like, whew. That helps me with the auctioneers. Let me go pay off my rent. Paid off my rent. I said, okay, so I've got this balance of money. What do I do? Let me find the next phase of my life. Music is not going to pay me any royalties. Thank you very much, MCSK. They've never paid. Let me move to a place where I know I can make something and people can buy,
Yeah.
So I started making bags and making them out of leather and making sure that I build a company that's a legacy company.
Yeah.
Not just for me. It wasn't out of, I need to do this for survival alone. It was, the next chapter of your life has to have a lot more meaning and purpose. It can't just be fly by night now.
Yeah.
And as I started doing the bags, people started buying them because, the era of social media, IG and everything, everybody was like, okay, we'll buy the bags to support you and your child because it's tunaona hivyo ndio una survive. You understand?
Sure.
And because this is how you're surviving, and we don't want to give you free money. We would rather support your business.
Yeah.
So the business started growing as people supported it. And then all of a sudden, a lot of people started believing in this as a viable business. And 3 years down the line, I look at it, and it was a really unfortunate journey because I came from a place of nimezikwa. And when the phoenix is buried, it must burn into ashes.
Yeah.
Now, the phoenix rises again. I didn't know I was a phoenix at the time. I just knew, hey, life ni hard. Maze iro kupenda. Imenieka kwa place ingine ngori. Afadhali tu angeniacha. Amekufa. Buda, hiyo ni chapter ingine hutaki kuingia. Because that's grief that I can't even explain it to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes 7 years down the line, it keeps on hitting you. Yeah. But the phoenix rises from the ashes. And for me, the phoenix rising from the ashes is reinventing yourself, rediscovering your purpose, repurposing your mind and changing your mindset totally from I really know how to make music and I really know how to make film and I can do animation to I'm going to become a businessman and I'm going to create jobs and I'm going to work with a raw material called leather, which I've never done before. Those is day and night, bro. It's day and night. But that is why I had to go through that tough journey, because God, in his infinite wisdom, wanted me to move from something that I was so used to. Najua kama mtoi ushazoea baby walker, so utaki kuachilia baby walker. Utaki kutembea na mikono. Utaki kutembea hands free.
Yeah.
You get used to one thing and you don't want to move to the other. And when God wants you to move to another chapter, sometimes he's got to slap you on, on your behind and ask you, okay, and Davy Buddha. Yeah.
Oh man. So you get into leather products.
Yes.
People are starting to support. At what point were you like, okay, now I need to build it into a proper structured business. Now this has to be bigger than me.
As a business person, I'll tell you this, even in the creative industry, the first couple of years are always experimental. Yeah. You're just trying to figure out, can it be done? To what level can it be done? And even if you're making money, you're not making money in a systematic way. Money is coming seasonal, very seasonal.
True.
Watu wa film wanaelewa hiyo sana sababu you're not busy all the time. Watu wa ngoma pia uelewa hiyo sana because you're not busy all the time.
Yeah.
But I've found that after the first 2 years, I had to now start putting structures in place.
Right.
And trying to understand how businesses run, and try to understand what my supply chain is, what my importation and exportation should be, what my value add avenues should be, what my marketing team should look like, and how my marketing and the branding should be. Vitu mob unafanya guesswork, and then you realize, no. This is now a legitimate brand.
Yeah.
You've got to move it up. And just this year, 2024, I've realized that, okay, we've hit the glass ceiling. We have international investors knocking on the doors. We have people who are now wanting to take the brand to the next level.
Yeah.
Wachilia baby walker.
Just a grow.
Just a grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a constant, it's like a staircase type of learning, where you get to level 1, then you have to now go to level 2 and level 3 and level 4. And it's consistently just you reinventing and repurposing yourself.
Let's start from design
before
you even build the product.
Yeah.
Do you primarily design all the products, or now you have a team of designers?
No, I will never have a team of designers. I design stuff myself. I will never have a team of designers. Simply because, let me actually not say that.
Yeah.
I think I just talked out of anger. Yeah. No.
Nani walikukasirisha ndugu?
Fundi ni fundi mzuri ni kinyozi, sio?
Mafundi walikufanya ile kitu.
Now I work with a lot of artists. Fundi ni artist.
True.
Watu wengi hujua kubonga sana. Action tu inakuanga kidogo inawakwepa. So I've always made it my mandate to make sure that I'm creating and developing the prototype first, and then I give it to my team of cutters, stitchers, and what. So they don't develop design work. I do it myself.
Right.
So that I have more control, creative control of what the brand symbolizes.
Yeah.
Because there's certain, there are 7 million different types of bags, but I'm not going to make all 7 million types.
Sure.
There's certain bags that really tell a story. If I say, you might just be looking at this as a crossbody bag. For me, it's not a crossbody bag.
Right.
It's a scorpion. A scorpion has a head and a tail,
Okay.
and a colorful tail at that. Yeah. And that's how a scorpion always looks. Now, for me, when I look at that, it means that I first had to conceptualize that in my mind and then make it into a bag.
Right.
And then create purpose. Creating purpose, the beadwork you see here is done by one Maasai lady. She does it. She unfortunately has an illness, and by doing this, she can buy her medication and take her kids to school and stuff like that. What you're not seeing is you're not seeing the guy who cut the bag. He has a family as well. He gets to feed his family. What you're not seeing is you're not seeing the guy who did all the assembly work of assembling the items together. He's got a family. The stitchers who stitch the bags, they've got families. So one bag equals very many families, including the farmer who sold the hide, the tanner who tanned the hide. So for me, it's not just tended to make my bag. You know, jinga. Unaweza make bag China.
That's true.
Why are you doing what you're doing? What is the purpose behind what you're doing?
Right.
And for me, I look at it and I say, how many jobs can we create by one action? How many jobs can we create by one action?
Right.
Na sibongi kama mtu ameandikwa na gava, nasema tu kutoka private sector.
Yeah. Yeah.
By you creating this show, you've created X amount of jobs.
Right.
One action has created X amount of jobs. We need more people doing those one actions that create X amount of jobs, not one action creating X amount of profit. Because the profit is as a result of the more jobs you create,
Right.
not the brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Something squeezy about advising people, and I'm always caught in between. Do I just let people figure things out and get themselves to self-awareness and self-actualization? Is it an age thing? So this is just an open conversation, because for you, I think, you started working in 1990.
I started working in 1989.
1989, exactly.
Nimaliza shule hivi na nikaanza.
So from 89 to now, you've done the work, you've made the money, you've seen the fame, you've flown, you've gone everywhere, and now you're at a point where you can think the way you think. Like, for you, it's not just a bag. For you right now, it's creating employment, it's impacting people's lives. But we don't listen, do we? We never listen. So everyone to their own journey.
It's unfortunate, but just before we came on set, we were talking about legacy.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, let's stop creating brands that die with us.
Yeah.
That is why. Because, when you imagine if you create 2,000 jobs.
Right.
And then unfortunately you pass.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody's going to have to take up the reins and keep going with this, because you've created something that cannot be allowed to collapse.
True.
And it had a bigger purpose than you. Because it had a bigger purpose than you, it cannot be allowed to collapse.
Yeah.
But kuna watu wengi sana wako na ile kiosk mentality. Wacha nifungue ka kiodhe hapa, niweze tu kuuza 2-3, niweze kulipa rent, nilipe school fees ya mtoi, na niweze kujikimu. Unajua bora tu niko na kanduku kangu jioni, niko sawa. Asikiza bob mdogo mdogo, life nikiiskuma. No. Life, what is your purpose? Why the hell did you as a sperm survive, bro? mlikuwa wengi, we peke yake ndio ukasurvive. Sasa unataka kuniambia buda umeletwa hapa uvute nduku peke yake? Wekiode unanibo. You understand?
Yeah.
So we have to be at the place where, in all honesty, you came into this world for a purpose.
True.
When you told me you came from D, you don't know how proud I am of you, bro. You don't know how, because I know coming out of D is a struggle. I know it.
Yeah.
Are you understanding?
Yeah.
Now, what would be disappointing is if your legacy dies with you. It should not die with you.
Absolutely.
It should be something where people are more motivated to build upon and build upon and build upon.
Right.
In 2002, if you didn't hear that bass drop the way that bass dropped,
Yeah.
maybe you wouldn't be doing what you're doing now. Maybe it's a challenge that inspired you to say, actually, me too, I can do something. You know what? I've got a gift. I can let the world see. Kuna ile ngoma ya church ile, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Yeah.
Bro, when it shines. Yeah.
Oof. Let's stick to legacy. And the reason that conversation started was right now, Joka Jok is a luxury brand renowned across Africa, you know. And the conversation stemmed from, so when does Joka Jok get to the level of the Louis Vuittons and everything? And we were just talking about it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Joka Jok is how old now?
Jokajok is 3 years old.
3 years old.
3 years old.
Yeah. And some of these brands are over 100
100 years, yeah.
Yeah. And just that continuity.
I think it's to be compared to those international brands who've had generational knowledge and experience is a bit daunting for me, because I'm like, buda tumeanza tu kitu juzi.
Inashow tu brilliance ya Afrika.
Tupatie tu nafasi kidogo bado tunakaa. Sababu there's so many things that we'd want to do as a brand, and as a brand that is representing the continent in a holistic manner. But we have to get there through, I can't rush the process, you know, trust the process.
Yeah. Sure.
When people see Joka Jok, they see bags. But I told you I was going to come with a surprise. I'm wearing the surprise. This is a pure leather jacket.
Bro,
made in Kenya. 100% tailored in Kenya, using African material, African leather, and doing a tie and dye technique that has never been seen before on jackets. How many jobs have I created? Ushaiona ngozi imefanywa tie and dye, ngozi si canvas. Jaiona, umeiguza. Kuna ile ngoma ya Hiphop, my leather so soft.
Yes.
Luxury must be made in Africa. Luxury must be sold out of Africa.
Right.
And we must realize that, bro, we were not born into poverty. We embraced poverty because we went too much to listen to somebody telling you the meek shall inherit the earth. Yet, they say that empires must be expanded. How do you expand through humbleness? You can't expand through humility. You can't. And as we expand as a brand, we expand also through intellectual conquest, financial conquest. You understand?
Right.
That's why I told you, I started by saying, trust the process.
Yeah.
I've been trying to make this jacket for the past
3
years. It's been in my head. Every day it's disturbing me. Every day I'm like, mbona sasa hii kitu ndio tunaweza make brown, tunaweza make black, hizo ma plain colors, lakini how does that stand out? If you want a black jacket, you can go mpaka isili unaweza get. Unajua, how do we make it different? Trusting the process means you trust the journey. And when I say 3 years, some people will say, mi sina time kama ya kuwaste. Wacha hiyo kitu ikae. Okay. What if? Si nimengoja 3 years kutengeneza kitu moja. What if hiyo kitu moja? What if? Tuseme tu what if. How many black people are there around the world, Phil? Around the world, not in Africa, black.
couple of billion, or a billion. I don't know. I'd have to guess.
Even if you Google that, you won't get the answer because it's hidden. Good things are always hidden. Good things are always hidden.
Yeah, you can tell how many Chinese,
Yes.
Indian population.
Yes, you can. Yes, you cannot tell how many.
That
Good
is
things are
interesting.
always hidden. Now, when you find it, go and compile all of it. You're going to find it's about 2 billion. All right, but let's say it's 1.5 billion. On the continent, we're already 1.2. So it can't be 1.5.
No.
Okay, because in South America, there's about 900 M. In the US, there's another couple of M. So let's say it's 2 billion. Okay, 2 billion black people. What is 1% of 2 billion, bro?
Kizungu, wait.
Hesabu ni ngumu, si ndio?
Kizungu,
Tulikuwa-
2 billion, 1% of 2 billion would be what?
Maybe 2 M.
2 million, yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so let's say it's 2 million people. There are 2 million black people with a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
Globally, I will repeat again. There are 2 million black people globally with a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
If 2 million black people buy your cup
Yeah.
for $1, how much money have you made?
You're good. You're set for life, man.
You're set for life.
Yeah.
I call that the black market. Nobody wants to see it. Umeiona?
Nimeiona, bro.
Okay. So nikiuza hii kitu, watu 2 million wabaye. Usinipigie simu, sitachukua. PA wangu ndio atachukua hiyo simu, atakwambia,
PA wa
Mr. Joseph."
PA.
I'm just kidding, but I want people to start opening their eyes to this is bigger than me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
What I'm doing is bigger than me. What you're doing is bigger than me. Your purpose, the thing that you were born to do, is bigger than you. It is going to galvanize so much support around the globe that you will be shocked. I've recently had an actor from Hollywood, Denim Richards, come all the way to Kenya to just sit with us at Joka Jok and ask, what's the way forward for you guys?
Right.
I didn't invite him. He came on his own accord.
Yeah.
Bro, what does that show? People are beginning to pay attention to Africa and wanting to be a part of this African dream and the African renaissance. And we, as the people on ground, need to stop thinking, mi nataka tu kwenda majuu nimeki tuko majuu. Mi nataka kwenda huko majuu. No. Weka matako yako hapa Kenya, Afrika, na utengeneze kitu noma.
Kabisa, bro.
Utatoboa. Na usipotoboa, kumbuka Moses pia kutoboa. Moses alifika desert akakufa. Lakini alipeleka watu through a journey to the promised land. Play your role.
Bro, man, you're so deep. And I'm getting lost into the conversation. And first of all, that jacket is such a statement piece. You walked in, it was the first thing I was like, you know, and thank you so much for launching it over here.
Yes, let's move a statement piece.
Man, that's amazing. Something you do with your daughter, and I love it, and it's part of what you've talked about, legacy.
Yeah.
One, how can we change that mentality that we have as Africans? For some reason, we don't support each other a lot. I see it with the Wahindis, I see it with the Somalis, like they have that culture where they buy their own first, they support their own first. How can we change that mentality? I don't want to ask where it went wrong. I think we have an idea. And man, I just want to do what you do with your daughter. Your daughter is constantly there at the workshop. You're building with her. And I feel like it will be very natural and easy for her to pick it up from where you leave it.
I hope, in all honesty, that she embraces the dream and feels like it's not forced upon her, but it is part of what she must do in life. It is a heavy load.
Yeah.
in all honesty, to fit the shoes of somebody who's trying to break the stereotype and build a new kingdom. I say this because when you look at the late Queen of England, she was given that mantle by her father in the 50s when she was back here in Kenya. And she passed and gave that mantle to her son. And I'm sure it's not that her son wanted it, but it was a responsibility bestowed upon him. And now that he's suffering cancer, he has to look forward and say, who next? You understand?
Yeah.
And I want to use that analogy because people think that what Phil is building is just for Phil. So Phil starts to feel like what I'm building is just for me. So there's no long team. As long as watu wangu wako sawa. But when Phil stops believing other people and Phil believes in himself and he built, now it's not about me. It's about a collective. Phil builds bigger. And then Phil's daughter sees the impact that Phil is having on people and realizes that, wow, I want to be just like my dad. I want to build like him. Let me allow him to hold my hand to show me the way to build. And then she becomes part of it. So for me, I didn't force Jay into this. By the time she started walking, was the time we were starting to make the bags.
Yeah.
And she would see me carry the leather. So she thought, oh, this is a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Let me carry leather around as well. And she would see the leather artisans hammering and cutting and stitching and stuff. And she'd want to hammer and cut and stitch because children learn from what?
Right.
Copying.
True.
So she grew up in that environment. And I've always had this policy of I work from home, always. And yeah, we have to go to a place where we can no longer work from home. But for me, as much as I can, I will always work from home because then your child gets to spend a lot more time with you, but they also get to see what your purpose is, what your commitment to your purpose is, when you're tired, how you react, so they will learn a lot from you and they will adapt into that environment and become that. Jay, for me, I want to talk to the boy child.
Yeah.
Hakuwa oops. Ukiriwindi tape nilikwambia.
Yeah.
She wanted to have a baby.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a baby.
Yeah.
Independently. My child was intentional.
Yeah.
When you are intentional about your action, it's like, I am intending to go to town. I am going to town. I must go to town. Now I'm walking to town because there's no matatu and I must get to town. It was your intention, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you were not intentional about going to town, mvua kidogo, small, ama Njeria kutumia message, come home. Buda, hiyo tao inaweza kaa. Umechapaditwa.
Yeah.
Unaelewa? Mbona uchekangi Buda? Ama hiyo joke si noma. Wow. Nimetoa joke ingine noma.
Buda, manze unaongea vitu deep, yani niko in the zone hapa hivi. Wewe. So sijaweza kutoka kwa hiyo zone.
Toka kwa hiyo zone. Kwangi mtu serious Buda. So ukiwa intentional about your action and your plan, even when you're having a child, even when you're building something, you'll fight for it.
True.
But when you're not intentional,
that's true.
Small thing,
unaiachilia
sababu haikuwa nia na madhumuni. Nia na madhumuni. Watu saa zingine mtu demu ni mnoma, ni mrembo, acha nimkatie aingie box. Akisha ingia box ashapata mtoisi noma. Umenyosha. Nia na madhumuni.
Yeah.
So for me, every single day I wake up, I'm like, God, please give me another day and another day and another day to spend time with this child, to groom and nurture this child so that this child can take over the mantle of the responsibility that she has. I'm not going to tell her what it is right now because it might be for her too daunting. But in time, I want her to see that she has to live, walk, breathe this journey and build it. Africa needs more dads. Okay? I'm not, because there are a lot of moms.
Yeah.
Africa needs a lot more dads who are being intentional and who are building, because the empire needs an emperor. Okay? And the emperor needs to be the protector of his kingdom,
Yeah.
and the expander of that kingdom.
Right.
Okay? Through conquest. All right? And that conquest means that then he has to have his ducks in a row. He has to have the people, when he goes out to war, akiuliwa huko in battle, who's in charge? Who becomes the new emperor?
Yeah.
You know, we watch all these like Japanese movies where the 2-year-old became the emperor of Japan. And, you know, and we think these things are, no, bro, these Africans forgot that. And we need to go back to that. What went wrong was that we embraced a culture that did not belong to us. What went wrong was what we forgot Ubuntu. Bro, I only exist because you exist. You only exist because I exist. In other words, Phil, nikianguka, uone biashara yangu inaanguka, na ulikuwa na so moja ungeza kunitoa nayo, ukasema simtoi, wacha anguke, hata hiyo so yako itaanguka.
True.
Na pia utaanza kuanguka. True. I'm only as successful as you are. You're only as successful as I am.
That's true.
We need to lift each other up. All of us, brothers and sisters, lift each other up to a point where now Africa is at a position where if you want to fight 2 billion people, it's going to be hard.
That's true.
It's going to be hard.
Oh my goodness.
The African is feared because they know there will come a time Phil will have multiplied by 2,000. Now there are 2,000 Phils. And those 2,000 Phils have multiplied another 2,000 just by their mental thinking. You see the team you have?
Yeah.
You're impacting on them. The team I have, I'm impacting on them.
Right.
I am imprinting myself on them. What happens when they become very many? When they become 2 million with the same mindset? Mzungu atakuja kwambia nipatie hiyo majani chai yako, pesa ndogo, wenda tu, ama nipatie hiyo kahawa ama hiyo macadamia na 5 bob, alafu macadamia inaenda inauzwa UK 5,000 na mkulima anapata 5k. Mkulima sasa si atakuwa na mentality kama yetu. Kusema fanya hivi, wachana na hiyo macadamia hapo, mimi mwenyewe nitairoast, nitaipackage nikuuzie, na kama utaki nikuuzie end product, enda ukule basi njugu za mtu fulani, mimi sikuuzi macadamia yangu, si lazima.
Sana sana the 2 million Africans washanimalizia stock. How do I get to know my purpose?
How do you get to know your purpose? Hey, Phil, now you've gone deep.
Because I mean, it's something we always told, you need to find your purpose. You need to find your purpose. How do I discover my purpose?
Bro, I don't want to lie and be a philosopher. I just want to keep it real. Okay? Even before I came here, I said, God, help me understand what you need me to say. Because people hang on to the words that you say. All right? So they shouldn't be airy fairy. Filamini kwa show, acha niende niuze sura niseme kitu noma. Finding purpose is you have a gift and talent. Forget your purpose. Let's put that kando kwanza.
Right.
How do you find your gift and talent? What is your gift and talent? You find your gift and talent actually more so when you're young and when you're in your teens. Okay? I remember when I was a teenager, being in the farm in Jororok, nimepatiwa panga niende nikate dhara. Unajua kukata dhara bura?
Dandora ilikuwa concrete zangu.
Sijafanya hizo vitu. Okay. Lakini unajua dhara ni nini?
Najua dhara.
Sawa. Chakula ya ng'ombe. Ile ndefu ndefu.
Najua.
Patio ni nini kate dhara. Mimi nishaboeka, nishachukua panga na najifanya mimi ni guitarist mnoma. Nimeingia kwa zone, niko kwa concert. Niko kwa concert. My gifts were being revealed to me slowly. And sometimes, Mtu anakupatia a tin drum.
Yeah.
Unaanza kuicheza. Wenzako wanashindwa, buda, kwani umeingia kwa hiyo spirit sana.
True.
ama unaambiwa act kitu fulani. Na ni skit tu. Unaichukua serious mpaka watu wanashindwa, bro, it was never that serious. It's just ilikuwa ni acting. You know, that's how people's gifts and talents start to be revealed to them at a very young age, and they always ignore it. Now, it's bad enough that you're ignoring it, but it's very bad that your parent is ignoring it. Because your parent is the one who is supposed to do what? Raise the child in the way that they are bent. Is a Bible phrase, eh?
Yeah.
So raise the child in the way that they're supposed to be, and they will not depart from it. People think raise the child in the godly ways. No, also there's wisdom in that of umeona mtoto wako kila siku akiwa karibu na piano lazima ifinye na aanze kucheza.
True.
Saa zote. Na umeona huo mtoto macho yake iki light up. Akiona vitu za daktari kama hizi nini, na kwa toy shop ataki dolls, anataka hizo vitu za surgical na nini. My friend, God is trying to tell you this is the way the child wants to go.
Yeah.
So start to raise them up. Now, when their gift and talent is revealed to them, their gift and talent, una mkono ngapi?
Mbili.
Gift and talent. Their purpose and the direction they're supposed to go lies in that. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So you can't have a purpose without knowing what your gifts and talents are. So when you ask me, how do I get my purpose? You get it through understanding your gifts and talents. And nilikuwa wapi nikikwambia hiyo story? Nilikuwa kwa shamba nikikata dhara. Be still and know that I am God. You must be in a place. Usiende F2 tafuta gift.
Yangu huko ndo ulitoa zako. Mbona tena unanikashifu?
No, usikue kwa club, kelele kila mahali, umewaka uko nduku mazee, macho mekundu. How is God going to speak to you, bro?
That's true.
And I'm not saying this in a religious way that you go to church and, cry tears and go on your knees. No. In your room, when you're by yourself, having a real conversation with yourself of, okay, this is me, and I'm a right mess. What do you need me to do? Where do you need me to go?
Yeah.
At that point, you're not with anybody. The cameras aren't now on you ati wanafeel akilia machozi huko church. Si ya IG, ni wewe na Mungu.
Yeah.
Well, that's when your purpose is revealed to you, because you're still. So a lot of times we don't spend time in the silence and presence of ourselves. And it has been compounded by the fact that we spend so much time on our smartphones, trying to dumb down our minds and the voices in our minds. And you say, I don't want to hear the voices in my head. I don't want to hear the voices in my head.
Yeah.
Bro, you need to be at peace with yourself. Yeah? To figure out where you're supposed to go. You can't figure out where you're supposed to go using a smartphone.
Right.
You need to figure it out really using your spirit.
Yeah.
The spirit should guide you, bro.
Oof, bro, something that you speak a lot on, and that's, I really love that you champion for men to be men and take up their power, and that's being leaders and also a bit on mental health as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is a conversation. A lot of men approach me, young men, and we talk, and it's worrying, especially for the boy child.
Yeah.
Kuna ngori, bro. Na mimi pali nimefika saizi, nimeanza kuombea kila mwanaume shida. For some reason. But for some reason, mwanaume amepitia shida, it toughens you and forges you into a real man. And I feel our world has really tumebembeleza wanaume. That's my take. Honestly, just from observing from the boy child tumekuwa tukiongea nao, and mwanaume apitie shida. And you've just talked about getting purpose. then now achieving purpose is a whole other game. Look at the path you've been on just to achieve your purpose. Check ile ngori umepitia ndio achieve purpose. Then how do we create the mental, emotional toughness to tough it out, to realize the purpose?
A man's two primary purposes in a family is to be a protector and a provider.
Yeah.
That is loosely deemed that as when the bad guys come, you'll have the muscle to be able to beat the bad guys up. And when there's no food, you'll have some money on your M-Pesa to be able to buy the food. Okay?
Yeah.
But who takes care of the man as he's looking for the money for the M-Pesa to buy the food? Who takes care of the man when the bad guys came and he defended his family and he got cut, beat, bruised, injured, and now he's nursing his wounds? Who? Himself? If that's the case, then why did he have a family? Let's keep it real. Why? She was just there to be protected? She was just there to be provided for? Or was she there to wipe those wounds? Was she there to tell you, brother man, umelala sana, hebu amka enda uchape job. Unajua unaweza make it. Wacha kusikiza hizo vitu. Wachana nao mabeste wako. Sometimes, not sometimes, all the times, your life partner, your wife should be the person who is number one motivator. Number one cheering squad. Number one. And when you come home from battle, that's the person who should do what? Lick your wounds. Because you were not fighting for yourself. That empire, she's the empress of the empire. And when anything happens, she's the next in charge. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
The boy child is suffering simply because waombe shida. Yo ni kitu. Because if you want to be a diamond, know you won't be picked up on the ground. Know that you're going to have to go deep in the ground, in a very dark space, very dark place with no oxygen, no air, no light. You can't breathe for you to become a diamond.
True.
Okay? You're forged through pain. Men are forged through pain. And we've started watering that down and making them kababa, sinoma, usijali. Unajua hata kama ulikuwa number last, you're still good. No. Buda mbona umekuwa falo, umekuwa mjinga hivi mpaka hebu tubonge. Kwa nini unakuwa dwanzi? Nini unataka? Those hard talks don't happen anymore because, everybody's equal in the eyes. Yeah, everybody's equal. But you know what? How am I going to get my son to rise up and be more than just a statistic?
Yeah.
And when I talk about statistic, just this week, I've heard of a guy commit suicide in the UK. I've heard of, hypertension and high blood pressure taking guys out. Boom, 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 boom. I suffer from hypertension. And sometimes my fear is this. I'm going through all these struggles, trials, and tribulations, and nobody really knows because I can't share them with anybody because nikikuja nipigie feel ataniangalia ni kama buda na mimi I was looking up to you, sasa umekuja na matatizo zako. Si wewe ndio unajua mali tunaenda. Nikiambia Phil mimi sijui mali tunaenda. In fact mimi sijui mali mimi naenda. Phil atanicheki aseme buda unavunja chain. Tuko watu wengi hapa. Sasa tutakuwa lost.
True.
So guys don't talk and share because of that. Okay?
Yeah.
Now you're bottling it all up in to your death. Because you're not talking, because you're not sharing. Me, I'm really big on, bro, have one or two people who you can keep it real with until I'm breaking. I am losing my mind because of A, B, C, and D. I am losing it. I need to hear your voice. I need you to just say something, and it's not twende tuwake tusawizi mashida. No, I don't drink. I have my occasional cigar, but I don't drink. Because I don't want to be in a position where a spirit other than the spirit that I understand is helping my mind, because I can lose my mind.
True.
Like that.
True.
I can lose my purpose. Like that. I can lose my gift and talent. So as men, bro, there's a much, much deeper conversation of, I call it the road to Damascus. So this is how I look at it. When you're in your 20s, you're trying to figure yourself out.
Yeah.
Some of us figure ourselves out when we're in our early teens, and by our 20s, we're implementing what we figured out.
Right.
Others, uko kole, umeenda kufanya media ama aeronautics ama whatever, accounting ama kitu yote. That's trying to figure yourself out. Unapata hiyo degree alafu una realize, this ain't what I wanted to do, bro. I just did this degree for the sake of my parents. I didn't want to do this degree. So you know what, Dad, here's your degree. I'm out. Out where? I'm going to find myself. You're still in your 20s, yeah?
Yeah.
So at some point you find yourself, and let's say you become an accountant, for argument's sake, in a bank, and you're doing all this accounting work, and you're enjoying it, and you're really, this is your purpose, and your gift and talent are in numbers and making things happen, and the bank is seeing, hey, kijana anaweza. You get somewhere about 30 something, and you become assistant manager, or ushapata cheo kidogo.
Yeah.
Sasa kapesa kameingia, si ndio? Na kapesa kana kashetani. So unajua ko kapesa ka kwanza kwanga ka devil.
New money.
Kwanga matatizo.com. Sasa hapo 30 kitu ushajitambua. Pata kadem kako wanjiko umemweka kwa nyumba. Kuna kasubaru kako kapya na kalon, si ndio? Maboys sahi.
Watu wa Subaru.
Sawa. And you get to the point where now you're beginning to believe the hype, and you're beginning to believe that, naweza. Unaona mali nilitoka. Nilikuanga nafanya sijui nini huko, hiyo degree nikapatia buda nini. Sasa ona mi by next year nitakuwa bank manager. Unaniona? Uko kwa baa unasikiza makelele, hausikizi Mungu. Nini nafanyika? Beautiful girl comes, walks up. Umeingia kwa gari. Umeenda kufanya vitu zako mbili tatu, Airbnb, kidogo. Umekuwa kwa car accident. Watu wanakutafuta, wanashindwa. Ni aje buda, uko? Hii inaitwa road to Damascus. Uliacha wife home. Road to Damascus. Kuna mtu alikuwa anaitwa Saul. Alikuwa na Subaru. Alikuanga ni tax collector, aka the banker. Ama? Unaona hizo analogy? Sasa Jaja alisema, huyu jamaa anajisikia sana Yeye ndio anajua ati anajua. No, does he know his purpose? Actually no, he doesn't know his purpose. Does he know that I've called him? No. Oh, hold my beer. Subaru, blah, 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 blah. Accident. Nini, what? So laoni. Be still and know that I am God. Then God spoke to him. And Saul became Paul. Have you ever seen a book written by Saul? But you've seen
books written by
Paul on love. God called him and gave him a new purpose. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
Men, we must all go through the road of Damascus, the road to Damascus. Ndio ukiwaombea shida, unaomba tu wapitie toke Saul wakuwe Paul.
True.
That's all you're trying to pray for them, isn't it, bro? So mtu asisikie vibaya ati uchalia ananisikilia vibaya, kuna madongo na mimi, hiyo ni ujinga buda. Lazima uchapo viboko zako 2-3.
Classmates, usually how we have these conversations is an entrepreneur will come on set and we'll have a conversation about their product, and we'll talk about the journey from building the product to selling to distributing. And right now I'm sitting in a master class because as a marketer myself, and I work a lot with marketers, and they tell us never sell a product directly. Sell an emotion, sell a vibe, sell legacy, sell something, but never the product directly. And the entire time I've been here seated, I'm listening to you, and you're not talking about your products. You're talking about legacy. You're talking about purpose. You're talking about the road to Damascus. And the more I listen to you, the more I'm like, I need to own a piece of Joka Jok. I have been your client
I
before.
know.
We've
Yes.
bought pieces, but now I'm like, I genuinely need to get that jacket. And I've stopped thinking about the money. And please pass me this. And Manze, classmates, if you're there, you're watching, see how he's done it. He's not talked about the product, and that's what we need to start doing. Don't talk about your product a lot more. Talk about the purpose. And when you buy a Jokajok bag, you're now not going to be thinking about the price or how it was made, or no, you're going to be thinking about the family that it's supporting, the lady doing the beadwork. Bro, you're brilliant at marketing yourself. But then make up and go. I'm saying this guy is building and branding and selling Joka Joke without even talking about it. And for me, that's the lesson I've been getting since.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. I know you don't realize it, but we've been here for I think 1.5 hours.
Wow. Yeah, time flies.
Time flies, and I feel like we've just scratched the surface. There's so much info I need to hear, especially about your journey with music and what you're building. Jokajok, an African luxury brand. And
indeed.
I can attest, I've bought units from you from like 5
Yeah,
years.
I remember. I still have our messages, bro.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're keeping it real.
Yeah. So, and the products are still there. So, man, thank you so much for your time.
Asante.
Classmates, I hope you've learned. We're still filming at Longonot Place. Manze, come check them out. It's a beautiful space. And as always, subscribe. Like we're calling ourselves, this is the concert for businessmen. Yeah, come here, have fun. Pigia sherehe hapa hivi, becoming CEO. Thank you so much. On to the next class.